Hello everybody, welcome back to the great state of Montana. Hey, this is the Carbine Cowboy coming to you from a very nice Memorial Day. You know, I was wanting to do a video today, but you know, with having family and all that coming over today to have a barbecue, I just thought I'd do a real quick video for you. I get a lot of people asking me a lot of questions. And sometimes I get to answer them, you know, but I don't always go into a lot of detail. And I thought maybe I'd do a little bit of that right now. You know, I get a lot of people asking me, well, you know, being in Montana, what is my favorite rifle cartridge? Well, that would really kind of depend on what I'm hunting. If I'm hunting antelope, deer, elk, bear, or even if I'm going after a moose. So, see, that's the one thing about Montana. Here you can hunt everything from bighorn sheep to deer to elk to moose to, you know, whatever, all at the same time. So one particular caliber doesn't always suit it. What may work good for elk and timber isn't going to work for antelope. You know, that kind of thing. So, let me see if I can answer that question. My favorite medium game deer cartridge would be the 25-06. Yep, flat shooting, extremely accurate, gets the job done. The runner-up to that would be the 22-250. If I'm taking shots at 300 yards or less, the 22-250 with a good 55 grain bullet is really hard to beat. Hyper accurate, doesn't do a lot of meat damage. As long as you place the bullet in the right spot, I mean, you can't do a lot of hard body shots with it, if you know what I mean. It'll kill a deer slicker than snot. The other question I get, you know, what do, you know, I carry? Well, as far as a handgun, my general purpose carry firearm is a 1911 45 automatic. A lot of people may look at me and say, well, that's a little dated. Yeah, so what? I like it, I shoot it well, it suits my needs. You know, people say, well, it doesn't have a high magazine count. So what? Neither does a revolver. And in certain parts of the country, like Alaska, guys carry a lot of big bore revolvers as a bear stopper. So, what's the problem there? Okay, that kind of sums that up. You know, kind of just depends, because sometimes I carry a revolver too. I have 3 or 4 45 Colts that I carry with 4 3/4 inch barrels. So it just really kind of depends on my flavor of the day. I'm a connoisseur of firearms. I own a little bit of everything, and the reason why is that way I can carry what I want, when I want, for whatever need that suits me, and I'm not just stuck with one. I know sometimes that monetarily that's not exactly feasible for everybody, but you know, a guy who owns a couple of firearms, that way he can, you know, tailor it to his needs, so to speak. I hope that answers that question. The other question I get is you know, shotguns. Well, shotguns are kind of the same way. You know, people can tailor them to suit their needs. Around here, a lot of people use a 12 gauge. I know some that use a 10 gauge. Just because of the mere fact that, well, they're the 12 gauge is the most common shotgun round on the planet. Some could argue the 20 gauge, but I will say this. And I wish the firearms manufacturers would come back out with a 16 gauge. I like it. I always did. I have a double barrel 16 gauge that belonged to my dad that he gave me. It is the sweetest little shotgun that I've ever had. I just wish that the firearms manufacturers would offer a little more ammo variety for it, and I wish that they would start to come back with some of the shotguns chambered in the 16 gauge, like the well, you could say the Browning Auto 5, the Remington 1100, maybe even a Remington 870 pump or a Mossberg 500 pump in a 16 gauge. There's nothing wrong with a 16. It fills the niche between the 20 and the 12. And it's great. Anybody that's, you know, been down south, 16 gauge for a long time was kind of the queen. Every rabbit hunter, squirrel hunter, or bobwhite hunter, you know, had a 16 gauge. And they worked really well. I wish that would be one that they would bring back. Some of the others I wish they'd bring back, and I know they won't, but I always kind of liked your 1903 Colt Hammerless. Now they made those in two variants, 32 ACP and a 380. They're great little guns. They're really thin. They're very compact. They're about the size of a officer's model or a I'll say a Kimber Ultra. They fall within that. They're a little bigger than a pocket pistol, but they're not as big as a full-size auto. I always liked them. Yeah, you can get them on the used market, but you're going to pay for them, especially one that, you know, isn't all abused. But I'd like to see them come back with that. You know, I think that'd be a nifty little deal. You know, there's a lot of firearms that have kind of fallen away along the wayside that I wish they'd come back with. That served a niche, and a lot of people liked them, but for some reason they just discontinued them. You know, I could make that argument for the 35 Whelen. That's an outstanding cartridge based on a 30-06, necked up to a 35 caliber. It'll kill anything that pretty much walks, crawls on the North American continent. But for whatever reason, it just kind of waned off and died. I could say the same thing about the 375 Winchester. That was a nifty cartridge that Winchester chambered in the Model 94 lever gun. I wish they'd come back out with that. You know, there's a lot of them, you know, and the list could go on and on and on and on. But, you know, today, everybody seems to be all hyped up on the newer, better deal. But what they fail to realize is sometimes newer and better isn't always better, if you get my drift. To me, you have a lot of copycats anymore. I mean, manufacturer will come out with a gun. Next thing you know, somebody else tries to replicate it by tweaking it a little bit and putting their stamp on it. You know, you look at some of the cartridges they come out with today, and you're going, well, all you're doing basically is replicating a cartridge that was around 50 years ago. Why? Why not just go back to that same cartridge? Why do you have to completely retool, re-engineer? For what? You know, I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm just getting old, or as some people call it, being a FUD. But, you know, I just kind of look at some of that stuff and say, well, why should I buy this when I already have this? It's an exact duplicate, and I don't have to spend any money. You know, so it may be the new fad. Well, clothing fads, vehicle fads, all that stuff, they come and they go. You know, but your tried and true stuff is always around. You know, I guess they would call that a timeless classic. But, you know, those are just some of the questions I get. You know, people ask me things, and, you know, they ask me my thoughts or opinions. But, you know, that's just me. I'm sure everybody that watches my channel has their own thoughts and opinions on what they'd like to see come back. You know, some stuff they'd like to see go away. And that's fine. You know, everybody's entitled to their own opinion. But I just thought I would do this real quick and wish everybody a safe Memorial Day. And I hope you all have a good Memorial Day. But let's not forget what the holiday is all about. The holiday is to honor those that gave their lives so we can enjoy this day and our freedoms that we take for granted every day. So with that in mind, to all you veterans out there, you know, I hope you have a good day, and I thank you. And from the great state of Montana, this is the Carbine Cowboy, and I'll see you next time.